Alright, hello and welcome. So, let's talk about quick thinking, because I feel like it is a slightly misunderstood mod, and it's a mod that I feel like people maybe don't know when they should be using or when quick thinking will be beneficial for them to be using. So, let's get started and go over it. So, quick thinking, the mod itself, is right here. Drains energy to stop lethal damage with 240% efficiency. So, I can see how this can be really misleading, because first of all, it does drain energy, but that's not the actual functionality that this mod is giving you. And the 240% efficiency is actually not efficiency, it's resistance applied to your energy. So this mod, at face value, is kind of misleading, because the actual thing that quick thinking is doing is it's taking your energy and converting it to health before you would die. So your calculation is a little bit different than in just draining energy and having 240% efficiency. And the 240% efficiency part actually means that in terms of resistance, you get 60% resistance. But with the 2.4 efficiency, the easy way to see how much EHP you have on just your health or your power by itself is to just take your power and just multiply it by 2.4. And then you get pretty roughly what you're getting out of quick thinking at 0 armor. And then you have to apply armor on it because it's converting it to health, and health is affected by armor. So do that, and you get your final number for how much you're getting out of that. Add in your shields to get your absolute total EHP. So my EHP for Nova should be on screen, and all the calculations to go with that stuff. That's the way that you go about seeing if quick thinking, like how much EHP you have when you're using quick thinking. As for if quick thinking is useful to you, you just compare across not using quick thinking compared to using quick thinking. And usually, if you're putting prime flow into the mix, especially if you're putting prime flow into the mix, regardless of whether or not like you're going to use quick thinking is usually going to be your best defensive mod in, I'd say, 90% of cases. So if I use Vitality, I gain 440 health, which is affected by the 65 armor. Now, any health that I would convert from my energy is also affected by the 65 armor, so you're really just comparing across what exactly you're getting out of your power on average. Because, of course, we use power to cast abilities, and how much you're going to be casting abilities affects how effective quick thinking will be. If I'm going to have, say, 744 energy, but I'm going to probably average out at about, let's say, 400, that's going to affect how this works, how energy hungry your Warframe is, what your efficiency is. All of these things matter, and you have to think about this for you as a player. How much energy do you usually have? Are you usually on max energy? Quick thinking is going to be a lot better. Are you usually sitting around like 40 energy? Well, maybe you should think about Vitality. So, with this one, it's obvious here. Right here, it's obvious. 440 compared to like the over 1400 that I'm getting out of my power. It's very obvious that I should just use quick thinking. This is very simple, super easy way to just be like, oh yeah, of course I should be using quick thinking instead of Vitality here. Also, shields should never be a consideration. Like, shields are like, well, not never. I shouldn't say never, because there are certain scenarios where they will be a consideration, but because slash procs exist, because toxin damage exists, and because your shields are not affected by your armor or any other resistances, the only time you want shields is whenever you already have a lot. So let's say that you're using like Mag Prime, and you've got a good amount of shields. Then you use Redirection. Then you use her Augment that's like, okay, now I can get over shields. It's like, well, this is a scenario where I can see why I would use this. But that scenario is not super common. For the huge majority of Warframes, you never want shields ever, unless you have no way to restore your health, in which case, you should probably go farm Lifestrike. But let's talk about some other scenarios that are important for quick thinking. One of them being Excalibur. So, for Excalibur, and the thing that I have not mentioned about quick thinking is that for quick thinking, whenever quick thinking goes off and it like saves you from a hit by using your energy, you stumble. And there are ways to avoid stumbling, and you can roll out of the stumble after you've stumbled once to not keep stumbling. Which is how some people die while using this mod, is you get shot and then you keep getting shot because you didn't roll after your first stumble back. Which you need to do. You have to keep that in mind with quick thinking as well. But for Excalibur and other Warframes that block a lot, if you're, let's say you're using Chroma and you're constantly using the blocking combo of whatever melee weapon you happen to be using, and you're constantly blocking, Quick Thinking was maybe a consideration there. I personally wouldn't do it on Chroma, but it's maybe a consideration there. For Excalibur, whenever you're in your 4, you're always blocking. In effect, you are always blocking. So, whenever you would stumble from Quick Thinking, you instead block it and do not stumble. That also adds in like even more resistance from blocking into your EHP, and we'll show that off in a moment. So, Quick Thinking is better on Excalibur because of the way he works, and thinking about the inner workings of how that Warframe works is pretty important. So, it's very good here. Now we're going to show the difference between dying with just Quick Thinking affecting your energy and dying with Quick Thinking with my Exalted Blade out. And for that, we're going to use these level 80 heavy gunners. They're pretty good at murdering me. And you'll see me start to stumble. There's the stumble, and I'm dead. Usually if you stumble, you'll pretty much immediately die. However, with Excalibur, Exalted Blade, block the stumble, and die. But blocking the stumble is really important. And obviously, usually you won't die in that situation because you'll have murdered all those enemies. But that was, of course, for just demonstration purposes. Let's actually show that with Nova. Since she has more energy to be converted, she should probably stumble a little more, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Also, Nova has advantages to keeping herself alive with Molecular Prime. Yeah, I'll stumble significantly more. Yeah, and then die. Yeah, obviously, okay. For comedy purposes, let's see how fast you die without Quick Thinking, right? It's pretty fast. Yeah. Time to die, it's pretty different. But let's go over some situations where you obviously should not... Whoops. Where you obviously should not be using Quick Thinking. And one of those is super, super obvious, which is Inaros. Inaros has outstanding circumstances that you should never use Quick Thinking for him. One of the most important ones is that stumbles will, stumbles can actively kill Inaros because stumbling is extra bad, just way worse than it is normally for Inaros. Whenever you stumble as Inaros, it's very easy to die. There's a reason I use Handspring with Inaros, because getting knocked down is a good way to die as Inaros at high levels. Otherwise, Inaros is starting EHP is 2200, and you can boost that up to 4600 with a Vitality, and then Steel Fiber. So that's just come on, that's way better. I do use Prime Flow, but he's only got 150 base going up to 425. But I use that so I can just be a battery for my rage whenever I get my health damage. This amount of energy is generally okay for Quick Thinking, but I don't want to take the stumble, and I'm already very hard to kill. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, you could use Quick Thinking on this, but I would never suggest it. Because Inaros is already so hard to kill. He's already got great defensive abilities. He doesn't need that extra layer really. Once you buff up his health, you will. If you're not using Vitality on Inaros, I'm interested to know what your methods are. But yeah, there's that. Other Warframes where I do not use Quick Thinking. Mesa. So this is my current build for Mesa. I don't use Quick Thinking on Mesa because I use Shatter Shield combined with her too. Her powers give her enough innate survivability where she's going to be really, really hard to kill anyway, and I need this entire energy pool for using my abilities, which are going to keep me alive in turn. I'm using my energy to keep myself alive, just not directly. So that's what I'm doing on Mesa. And that's kind of all there is to it. No, there was consideration for this. Whenever you were using a glaive to bless with Trinity, that was a thing you would always use as quick thinking to make sure you didn't overkill yourself, and even if you did, blah 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 blah. That doesn't apply anymore, but that's an old reason. There are a lot of different reasons to use quick thinking, but like analyzing what you need from quick thinking as a player is really important. So yeah, that's quick thinking. I hope that helped you guys understand what it does, and maybe make some decisions on what warframes you should use it on. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.